Hello, my name is Jason Arnold. This is Health Informatics Course 685. We're asked to identify the stages within a health information system if it was developed using prototyping and compare and contrast similar or differentiated methodologies. As far as prototype is concerned, I want to think of it more as a product versus as an actual system because it's actually going to be something that you're going to use to make your company better or make it perform better or make it perform more efficiently. So in the essence of making it a product, I want to cut back on the specifics and think of it in that way. In that form, no really product has ever been launched in its initial prototype form. Because you want to make sure that it's going to impress the market and make sure that it's going to sell. So if we're a vendor and we're doing an EHR system or something like that, you want to make sure that's going to be something that's going to be beneficial to a company. So as far as your steps you want to do, first of all, you want to make sure that you sketch it out. In the early stages of a project, it kind of be hard to visualize everything that you want to do within a project. So you want to make sure that, especially if you like trying to describe your idea to somebody, it's very difficult. So a really quick and easy solution to this is just to kind of get everything down on paper. You don't have to really, be an artist or anything. We just want to make sure that you get everything down. That way you can go back and add detail to it. So the first part will be sketching everything out. Next would be to kind of start off pretty quickly and kind of, in the mud a little bit as far as, building something maybe in a 3D space, kind of getting your construct together. So you don't want to waste, a lot of money on like early prototypes, but you want to make sure that you find materials that are easy to work with. Again, if you're building a system, so if you're outside of maybe a health information system, if you had a product, you want to make sure that you're using clipboards or like foam or things of that nature to kind of utilize your product a little better. But if you're doing a project or you're making a product for the first time, you want to make sure that what kind of presence, ask questions like what kind of presence does your the object or whatever your product's going to do, what kind of presence does it hold, or if you realize something wrong, you can start over at this point. So you just want to make sure that you have something visual to look at. Once you put it down on paper, you can kind of start building and working with the parameters of your product. Next is going to be the iteration state. Kind of says iterate, iterate, iterate. This is going to be that gradual evolving process. So understand this stage, you want to recognize that your first prototype isn't really going to be like your final product that you're going to use. So you don't want to get too attached to it because a lot of companies go through hundreds, even thousands of iterations. So to get your product exactly how you want it, you want to make sure that you understand those elements. So that iteration process is going to be, it's kind of easy to get caught up in the specifics, but this process is just one, again, to make sure that you understand the gradual process that you can start developing more and more and more. And so when you have your past prototypes, around, this is the stage where you can look at it and look at it for reference and improve into the next step. But we'll talk about specifics of prototyping in a second. Next is going to be like recognizing the success. So if you do some things that are correct within your product or your system design, you want to make sure that you understand those things. So the iterative process is going to be never ending. It's always going to be something that can be done differently in these steps or in a different manner. So you want to make sure that you understand if you can like try to determine if a certain aspect of your product is successful or not. You can do that by testing it out. So testing the product or testing the system, doing stress testing, things of that nature to make sure that it's running efficiently and effectively, and making sure that you measure correctly in your assessment. Lastly is just making sure that the final prototype is going to be an actual version of what you want to do. So within like a health information system, you want to make sure that the final prototype is going to be indicative of the specifics that you're going to need, whether it's things like helping with CPOEs for doctors, or if there's information that can be obtained, like medical information that can be obtained with a few clicks, or is it going to help with streamlining medical billing, things of that nature. You want to make sure that the system and your final prototype are able to be the result of these things that you want to do. So it should be the closest to, your final product that you're going to implement. So that is generalized version of prototyping. Specifically, I want to go into a couple of them though. First is going to be like evolutionary or like horizontal prototyping. That's pretty much just taking a system. That's just like pretty much taking a system and kind of developing it a little bit different. Well, hold on, let me Let me go into incremental first. Sorry about that. As far as incremental prototyping is concerned, that's the vertical type of prototyping. And it's going to be a method of like developing like a computer system or health information system by delivering small but complete parts of a system each time. So let's take an example, like if you're building a kitchen, and each time or each month you get a new unit each month. You know what I mean? So each prototype is going to provide more facilities than the previous. So if this month you get an oven, then you get a refrigerator, and then you get a dishwasher. Like every single month, that kitchen's efficiency and effectiveness is going to be incrementally better. So you want to make sure that you understand that type. And so I think that's an effective way of understanding prototyping in a vertical sense. As far as evolutionary prototyping, this kind of process requires the system to create, a mini system from left to right approach. Therefore, it's going to be like a process of developing a computer system or health information system through like gradual refinement. So like each refinement of the system is going to contain like specifics or specification of like software development, like in certain phases. And that's going to be in contrast to like traditional like approaches like waterfall, which I'll go to just in a second, as well as incremental prototyping, which in those methodologies are going to be required to get everyone. It requires everyone to get everything right the first time, and with this approach, it allows people to reflect on the lessons learned from the previous cycles. So that gradual refinement is a little bit more effective, and it's a little closer to the to the iterative process that we would need. And again, that's horizontal prototyping. As far as an actual methodology, I'm just going to use one that kind of focuses on compare and contrast. I'm going to use a traditional method, and the traditional method of like developing health information systems or computer information systems is mostly referred to again as that waterfall approach. And it has steps in it. As an analyst, you want to come along and try to possibly convert a narrative document written by yourself into a system design document, which we've been doing lately. And this system design document is going to like contain other things like system specifications or software requirement specification, things of that nature. So basically, this will involve describing how a system would need to be set up to fulfill your requirements. And you may have, specify your requirements in the form of a list of functions that you would want the information system to perform, and that's like a functional specification. So you want to understand that, a three-tiered approach, that the function must be met, the function should be met, or the function could be optional. You want to make sure that those level of compliances are understood. Also, with the traditional approach, you want to make sure that you understand again that each approach or each stage is met with a deliverable. So the progression from one stage to another is always in one direction. It's always forward, never backwards. And at the end of this approach, there's always usually a clear completion stage as well. And so you would know that the system worked fine if the task was relatively simple, or if the analyst could understand the information easily, or if the expectations were low, or the system didn't need to actually continually adapt. Those are going to be some of the process that you understand in a waterfall approach. So that method is often referred to again as that waterfall. It's kind of that life cycle approach because it's like unidirectional in nature. Lastly, as far as that approach is concerned, as far as the problems with that approach, it's problems with the traditional approach. They have become increasingly more acute. As more like complex software has been developed, which have not really been traditional or been suitable for computer systems. Oftentimes, they say that the rigidity of this is kind of a drawback, as well as lack of input from various users' perspective. As well as difficulty in revisiting previous stages as a result of like the subsequent lessons learned, as well as the knowledge and control firmly in the hands of like the analysts and the experts. Those are a few of the shortcomings with that waterfall approach. And again, the waterfall approach is going to be incorporated. It's going to incorporate a specific method of like specifying the information system known That's structure analysis and design, which presents its own problems. It's going to be kind of, sometimes that's going to be like an unnatural division between like the data and the process aspects of the information system, and it's like an unreal division when you're describing data and the process aspects. It's going to be kind of difficult for people to understand. So like the central belief within this aspect is that it's possible for it's possible to understand true requirements for the stakeholders, but stakeholders and analysts are usually not sure of these things, and that's why that waterfall approach can be kind of difficult. I know I was kind of rambling. I was trying to use my own words and not just be so technical. This class is full of technicality. But anyway, that's my presentation, my discussion. Welcome any questions, comments, criticisms, or replies, and I thank you for your time.